The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 159 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. No fancy intro today, James. I probably could have pulled something. I didn't have time to do it, but we had a heck of a Talladega race that I probably could have picked something from.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there, man. You could have went any direction you wanted, and I feel like we could have came out on the right side of good.
Yeah, I didn't. Did they do a radioactive yet?
I haven't seen it yet, but I have. I've been scurrying around. I am recording from my new podcasting studio tonight, so I haven't had a chance to hop on and see what else is going on. But yeah, I'm surrounded by oodles of Tony Stewart diecasts now, so I feel like this is a more fitting space for the podcast. It's a good home for me.
I'm jealous. I went and visited my parents last weekend, and my stepdad has a bunch of diecast stuff. And I told him, I said, just so you know, I know I don't need to tell you this, but if you ever decide to get out of the diecast game, don't be getting rid of these things without coming to me first. And he's like, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. It's like, yeah.
First dibs, right?
Yeah. I've been, James, it's the race winners that get me.
Oh, yeah.
All the race winning diecast, if they'd had all those back about 10, 15 years ago, yes, I would probably be poor right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I really would like to get one of all the races I've been to, but
I was heading down a very dangerous path I'm looking at the diecast right now. I'd say around 2012 was probably a dangerous path for me, but then I decided to get married. So that saved me.
Yeah.
Saved me from going down a very, very treacherous slope.
You can have the wife or you can have the diecast, but you can't have both.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk some racing before we talk about other stuff. If you guys are here for the other stuff, we'll get to it. But first, Geico 500 Talladega Super Speedway, Mother Nature with the win once again. This was our fourth rain delayed Super Speedway race in a row.
Yeah. This
ridiculous.
This is our hashtag blame Todd that we that's our inside joke.
Yeah, did we do the number to see how many how many races this season are we on rain delays now?
Yeah, this has been, we had 2 weekday races rain out. Daytona 500 rained out. And then this one. So yeah, that's a handful. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones, but those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
I don't know what NASCAR did to make Mother Nature mad, but man,
Atlanta, we showed up and then we got hit with a pandemic.
Right.
So we headed home from that one. What a year.
Yeah, it's been something. But you know what? On Monday, I was certain we were going to start and we were going to be done.
Yeah, I went and mowed my grass during the break.
I couldn't believe it. And, I'll tell you what, the break was quick.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I mean, it was pretty short. I was surprised they were calling drivers back to the cars so quick. And
well, we didn't have Air Titans sliding down the banking,
right,
like we did on Sunday.
Yeah. So Dave Moody said, I think it was Dave, maybe it wasn't Dave, it was somebody on Sirius NASCAR the other day was asked why we don't race in the rain, and they said, "Did you see the Air Titan at 1.5 miles an hour almost spin out on Sunday?" That's why we don't race in the rain. Because can you imagine what would happen at 180 miles an hour?
I texted you and I said that would be the biggest puckered up moment of my life if I was in one of those things. Heck, man, trying to stand up there is dangerous enough, I feel like. But, man, to be in one of those things and, just the thought of tumbling down.
What are they, 33 degrees at Talladega?
33 degrees, and what is it? It's a few stories.
Yeah, it's up there.
To the top, yeah.
It's up there. Well, Daytona is like 6 stories, and that's only 31 degrees, and it's a lot skinnier track.
Yeah.
And I've stood at the base of that one.
Yep.
And that's something. That's a
long way.
Shoot, remember, I mean, the only banking I've walked on is 18 degrees. That's the steepest I've walked on, and that's steep.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been on the banking in Daytona myself, and it's that I remember standing in line on the front stretch trying to get back to my seats before the 500, and remember my legs were killing me because it's so hard to stay standing.
Well, I stood on the front stretch at Michigan for driver intros, and even just that was awful. Your
I know.
legs start to hurt because that's not even near as much banking on the front stretch at Michigan.
Yeah.
No, Daytona, when you go up the banking, you then get to the ladder to go over the wall, and you don't think you can climb steeper when you go up the banking, and then here's a ladder, and it's barely steeper than the bank was.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yeah. No, it's one of those things that you do in person, and it changes your perspective. Just like being at a race in general would do that for you too. So
yeah. So we've gone this far and haven't mentioned the winner as we typically do. So that's
how we do it. Yeah.
Let's give some praise to Ryan Blaney with the win. The right moves at the right time at the end of the race.
He's the ace of super speedway racing now, eh? He won Talladega in the fall. He just barely missed out on winning the Daytona 500, and then he wins this one.
Yeah, he's one of the guys right now.
He's climbing the ranks.
Yep, definitely one to watch for. And he seemed a little. He seemed a little, I don't know if ashamed's the right word, but feeling a little guilty about rubbing Eric Jones a little bit there at the end. I didn't think.
Well, I think
so. He rubbed Eric Jones, but Eric Jones didn't wreck because of Blaney. Eric Jones wrecked because he got hooked from behind.
I think what you're seeing there, though, Eric, is some of the remnants of Daytona.
You're probably right. Yeah.
I think that incident has changed the game just a little bit. These guys don't. I mean, I didn't see any difference in how they raced to the end of that race. I mean, they were going for it. There was no stopping them, but I think there was the caution that is going to probably live in the back of Blaney's mind and a few other drivers towards the end of these super speedway races.
Yeah. Great racing. I mean, I don't.
Oh, yeah, all day.
If you watch that Talladega race and you didn't leave enjoying that race, then get out of here. There's no place in the sport for you, man, because they're the only thing we didn't have was cars getting off the ground, and I'll say that was great.
Yeah,
we had the wrecks.
That rules package, they nailed it. I mean,
by
the cars
accident.
were great. Yeah,
completely by accident.
You know what? Watching the Penske guys kind of push and bump draft each other was just, I mean, like Blaney said during the race, hit me as hard as you want. I'm not going anywhere. And I was just like, holy cow, dude. He was completely sideways a handful of times.
That save. Okay, so here, NASCAR needs to make a rule. I know that we hate the NFL when they have their equipment rules and that stuff, but NASCAR needs to make a rule mandating that these guys all wear white or yellow gloves. Because to see Blaney's hands on that steering wheel when his car got all kinds of out of shape on the front stretch, and watch him go back and forth and how far he was turning the wheel each direction to save that car. That just goes to show you that the people that go, yeah, they're just driving around in a car. Anybody could do that. No, they cannot.
Like no, those guys were special. Yeah, those guys are special, man. It's yeah, man, that was great. I'm trying to think of specific moments from the race, but it was all just as a whole was just phenomenal.
We never had single file racing, so I watched all 3 races this weekend. The ARCA race was atrocious. It was so bad.
Par for the course there.
Yeah, especially when you're starting 21 cars. I mean,
yeah,
ARCA, I don't know. I don't have real high hopes for ARCA right now, but who knows? Maybe things will turn around. So the ARCA race was terrible. The Xfinity race was good, but we had single file racing in the Xfinity race.
Yeah.
There was never a moment where they were single file in this race.
You got to get rid of that pushing rule in the Xfinity series. Let them drive.
Yes, they do. Do what they did with these cars. I mean, they fixed the aero package on these cars to where they can't push. You saw a little bit of it, but they couldn't go more than, half the straightaway, and then they couldn't push anymore.
Right. They get a run, they get a push, but they can't stay hooked up.
Yep.
They got enough to get it.
This was perfect where you had the closing rate, but it wasn't a ridiculous closing rate. And because it wasn't a ridiculous closing rate, the cars would re-separate once they started pushing.
The leader can't dictate everything.
Right.
Which is another thing that, Brad Keselowski, when that was at its height, that's when he was the Pied Piper.
Yep.
And you just didn't see that. I mean, Blaney was above and beyond everybody else. I mean, you could just kind of tell he kind of had it all day, but it was just I don't know, man. It was I really liked what I saw. They could go high, they could go low. I mean, it was just I don't know. It was like old school super speedway racing. It looked great. That's what I want to see when I see Talladega and Daytona.
So
That's
what
it.
was it? Was it the fact that we changed this aero package a little bit, James, or was it because there was rain threatening and you couldn't sit and relax?
Well, I think rain always heightens everything a little bit.
Right.
That threat of rain, but at the second half of that race was all. I think that was all just guys going for guys going for it.
Right.
And nobody wanted to sit back and ride.
No.
Which I loved.
No, Truex did it for a little bit, and that was about it. We didn't see a whole lot of it at all.
Yeah, there was not a lot of it. And there was kind of the dominant thing going on with the Penske guys. They were kind of strutting their stuff a little bit, and the other teams were trying to gang up on them. And there was a lot of gamesmanship going on throughout the race. It was a great balance of everything. I feel like it was just overall good.
The Toyota guys created this style of restrictor plate racing, and now they can't do it?
I think the best drivers they're
the ones who created this team crap, and now Ford's making them look ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, but Denny Hamlin's piling up Daytona 500s.
That's
so
true.
There's that, but you are correct that the Penske guys seem to be. But think about who's driving for Penske. I mean, Logano and Keselowski are two of the best at this, and then
true.
You've got Blaney, who's
Blaney's obviously one of the best now too.
Yep. So they've all emerged, and it's got to partially be part of the car. You think back to the Dale Earnhardt Jr., Michael Waltrip era of DEI.
Right.
And, those cars were just incredible, and the drivers were phenomenal at the plate racing too back then.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing a little bit of that here. I mean, we've seen Stewart-Haas Racing a couple of years ago. Remember, they dominated Talladega a couple of years back, and they were just the four cars were just hooked up and nobody could touch them. So
yeah,
I think it comes and goes. Right now, it's Penske's time.
Yeah. Yeah, we had everything. We had side-by-side racing, 3 and 4 wide. We had a shootout at the finish. We had fuel mileage at one point.
Late race caution. Yeah, the fuel mileage came into play. We should mention that. That cost a couple of guys. Bubba Wallace was a victim of that.
Yeah, it cost me too in fantasy.
yeah, it did. That late caution where Jimmy, and that wasn't Kevin Harvick's fault, that last caution,
right.
But he had nowhere to go, and I kind of felt bad for Jimmy. He got dumped, but he rallied back, 13th place finish, and that was good to see Jimmy Johnson up there late. And Bubba was leading at one point, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And then that last push down out of turn 4. I mean, John Hunter Nemechek. I thought John Hunter was going to win the race.
Yeah.
Through the trial, I'm like, he's coming. He's going to win this thing. And then all hell broke loose, and it was Blaney and Stenhouse to the line.
Eric Almirola finishes 3rd with his back bumper.
Yeah, he was. How many inches was he from winning the race?
Right.
If he clears Stenhouse, he wins. He wins the race.
Yeah.
And Ricky Stenhouse, we being the NASCAR contingent, give him a lot of crap, but that dude still can drive these super speedway races.
Yeah.
He was good all day, solid all day.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there should be a whole lot more to talk about, but I don't really know that there is. It's just, this was an excellent race. If we can get this every time we go to Talladega,
keep it 500 miles and let's go.
I'll tell you what, this was one argument for not going shorter because it was great at the length it was.
Yeah, and the stages, they break the stages up very well. I mean, just praise all the way around. And kudos to everybody who made this happen.
I don't know that I would say this about any other. Well, I'd say this about road courses too, but I feel like the first 2 stages need to be a little longer. I feel like they're almost too short, especially the second stage when you eat into so much of it from the end of the first stage. But I don't know. I mean, it was pretty good. I think the only thing I was a little disappointed that we might have fuel mileage stuff at the end, just because it's fun to see the crazy finish. But even that I think was shaping up to be pretty exciting to see what was going to happen.
That kind of cost Logano too.
Right.
Late, he was leading late and it didn't work out for him either. But yeah, I hate to see the fuel mileage at the restrictor plate racing. Well, the super speedways, that's $1 in the jar right there.
Right.
But for super speedway racing, I don't want to see the fuel mileage stuff, but it does make it more exciting. I mean, you get the field mixed up a little bit, which is always entertaining when you got guys kind of coming from nowhere to make a run.
Right. Let's see. What do we have here? What happened to Matt Kenseth? That's right. They had
he broke a rear hub. Yeah.
Yep. And then Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon got involved in the wreck with Brad Keselowski. So 38th, 39th, 40th for those three.
Yeah, Chase, that's another point I wanted to quickly make. Chase is great and he's having a great season, but he has like a mental block on super speedway races, I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes.
But he
I
won
feel
at
like
Talladega last year, didn't he?
he did. Yeah, he did. But I've seen this time and time again from him where it's just like there's like these, but maybe it's just super speedway racing too. Maybe I'm being too critical of Chase.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, he's got to win there too. But it's just I don't know. I feel like almost every time we go to a super speedway track, he's causing an accident. I don't know.
Right.
That seems a little harsh.
Kyle Busch ends up 32nd.
Yeah, he was yelling and screaming too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Bell 29th. Clint Boyer, who we expected more out of, finished 25th. Ryan Newman 24th. That hurt me on fantasy as well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, Brad Keselowski was 19th, but I think he had fuel issues at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, victim of circumstance there, yeah.
So, I mean, you got guys that are in mid-pack that normally aren't. Joey Logano 17th, so...
and he led 33 laps on the day. Tyler Reddick led a bunch of laps.
Yeah. Yeah, Reddick looked really good again.
I thought Hamlin was toast, and I benched him on my fantasy team, and he fired back and got a fourth, and I was really ticked off at myself about that one.
Chris Buescher with a 6th place finish, great for him. You mentioned John Hunter Nemechek, he finished 8th. William Byron looked good at points during the race. He led 11 laps. He finished 11th. We mentioned Jimmy Johnson got the spin, still came back for 13th. Looked like he could have won the thing, you know.
Yeah, he had a chance. He was right there. He was part of that group. You know, plays out a little bit differently for him.
Yep. But overall, great race. Can't wait to go back to Talladega.
Can't wait to get to Daytona and Talladega. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's man.
We could race at Talladega 7 times a year, and I'd be happy.
Yeah. That was just. It was refreshing to watch really good racing. We've had some pretty decent racing this season overall, but that was old school Talladega.
Yeah.
And that's what I really was happy about that.
Yep. It was good stuff. Good stuff. It wasn't too wrecky.
Nobody got hurt.
It wasn't fluky. We didn't have, NASCAR did a good job not throwing the caution on that last lap. When they wrecked on the backstretch, should have probably thrown the caution, but they didn't and let them race out. And I'm in favor of that. I still think that we need to have, sectioned cautions on the last lap, that if there's a wreck back in turn 3, we can say, okay, caution's out when you come off at 2, but race back to the line.
Right.
Or cautions out on the backstretch or whatever, but the leaders can race back. I don't know how you relay that to the drivers so people aren't, racing when they shouldn't be and are when they should be, but there needs to be, I feel like there's a middle ground somewhere there that, you don't have to wave the caution for the car on the
and I'm glad NASCAR let it play out. I mean, as they should have on the last lap too. I mean, we've seen instances where NASCAR's thrown a caution, maybe not in that specific circumstance, but they let those guys finish, which was good. So
who was it in the Xfinity? Was it the Xfinity race or the Cup race that somebody got a really stupid going below the yellow line penalty?
It must have been the Xfinity race. I don't recall that from the Cup race.
Yeah, somebody got forced. They forced somebody below the line.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Who got forced down below? I remember it now, but I don't remember the drivers involved.
And it was. I think it was a couple Toyotas. I think they were JGR cars, maybe. And it was just, I'm so tired of this. Get rid of the yellow line rule, for God's sakes.
Let him police himself a little bit.
We didn't have the yellow line rule at the restrictor plate race or the Talladega race on iRacing, and nobody went below the yellow line, and they didn't have to worry about getting hurt there.
Yeah, the only time keep the yellow line rule if you want, but on the last lap, let it go.
Just get rid of it, James.
I know, I agree with you, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to compromise for you.
I don't want to compromise. I want that rule gone.
I was gonna say, I lost my train of thought, so never mind. We can keep on going.
Yeah, we'll come back to it if you think of it.
Yep. We got tied up.
All right, done with the race. Shall we get into the thing?
The other stuff?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the thing.
All right, so we'll talk about the elephant in the room. At this point, we're recording this on Wednesday. We know a lot more about the whole news situation than we knew over the weekend.
I think we didn't talk about it on Monday. I'll tell you that.
No kidding. You and I were talking even last night. When we were fresh off the news, that it wasn't a hate crime. That I think we probably had differing opinions last night than what we have tonight too. So let's run through the timeline here real quick. You guys are pretty familiar with this, I'm assuming, if you listen to this podcast.
Well,
I know you guys are
national,
NASCAR fans.
And it's national news.
Yeah,
So if you're stumbling on this, you're probably heard it there too.
Yeah, if you turn on CNN, then you've seen it. So on Sunday, and my understanding is it happened during the rain delay. But I could be wrong on that. One of the team members, and we found out today it was one of the black team members from the 43 car, saw the rope hanging on the garage door. Looked like it was in shape of a noose. He went to the crew chief for the 43 car, who then reported it to NASCAR. NASCAR President Steve Phelps was alerted. He came. They started an investigation immediately. Steve Phelps spoke with Bubba that evening to let him know that they had found this noose in his garage. NASCAR issued a statement Sunday night announcing that this investigation was ongoing. Bubba Wallace also issued a statement on Sunday night. Monday, we had a huge show of support for Bubba before the start of the race. We'll talk more about that when we get into this discussion. And then Tuesday, photos began circulating online showing a rope with a loop on it in what looked like the same garage or similar garage saw last fall during the Cup race. And on Tuesday evening, the FBI, or sometime Tuesday, the FBI finished its investigation. NASCAR announced on Tuesday evening that it was basically all a big misunderstanding, and that the knot had been tied prior to, or had been tied before, at least before last fall, at least as far back as last fall or further. It was not a noose, but it was a noose. I mean, they still keep using the term noose. It's a noose.
It's a noose. Let's call it what it is.
Basically the way I understand it is it's not a hangman's knot. It's not a noose that's going to tighten if you were to be in it, like an actual noose, but it is in a noose shape.
Yeah, and the FBI called it. They said it is a rope fashioned into a noose.
Correct.
That is what I mean. If the FBI is calling it what it is, we're gonna have to call it what it is.
Some additional facts in this before we start discussing it. That and by facts, I mean this is stuff that's been reported from other people. We did not witness it ourselves. We weren't at the track. A very small group of people actually saw this. But so first of all, Bubba Wallace was never in the garage at any point. The drivers
never saw it.
Yeah, the drivers aren't allowed in the garages. Bubba didn't see it. He saw a picture of it afterwards, according to his statements, because he's talked about what it looked like. But he did not see it. He's not the one who reported it. He is not the one who started the investigation, any of that. That was all done prior to Bubba even knowing about this news. The crew member who alerted the crew chief, before he alerted him, walked down the row of garages, he said, and looked at the other ropes, and none of the other ropes were fashioned into a knot. They were all just straight ropes hanging there. Trying to think, what else, James, do we need to specify here specifically?
As far as the details are concerned, I mean, I think that covers the timeline pretty well. Did you mention pardon me if you did, but did you mention that Steve Phelps went to Bubba Wallace's RV?
I mentioned that he told Bubba about it.
Yeah. It was in person
at his motor coach.
And we know that it was emotional.
Right.
That is reported as well.
Yes.
That is an emotional conversation.
Yes. So I guess I'll start the discussion on this, James. Last night, I was very embarrassed when we heard this news. It was one of those things, like, I had seen the pictures earlier in the day of the garage stall with the rope, and I'm like, yeah, that kind of looks like a noose, but come on, these guys are looked at the rope to make sure that it wasn't that. But those details are a little bit different too, because my understanding was that somebody had left this noose laying in the garage stall, but it was just hanging from the door. It never was removed from the door. It was removed from the door in the investigation. So I guess that kind of rules that out for me. But anyway, again, last night I was embarrassed for NASCAR. We looked really foolish. Today, as I look back on it, I think everything was done correctly. everything was handled the way it should have been handled. The thing
Correct.
you guys have to understand is that with this announcement of the Confederate flag, there has been, I mean, you and I, James, have been on social media and seen the posts that people have made. We have no idea what sort of threats that NASCAR officials, Bubba Wallace, his team, Richard Petty, any of those people have received as a result of this, but I guarantee you there have been.
Yep.
So they are already on heightened alert because of this. Somebody flew on Sunday morning over the track with a banner that said defund NASCAR with a Confederate flag flying behind it. You know, they're in Talladega, they're in Alabama, the deep South. Nothing against the folks in Alabama, but you know, if there's a place that's going to defend the Confederate flag of anywhere else, it's that area. It's that track. That's going to be the most volatile one. You know, historically, it's the track that hated Jeff Gordon when he beat Dale Jr. You know, the northern guy beat the southern guy, you know, and all of that. So I don't think NASCAR did anything wrong. I think they needed to investigate this the way that they did. They had no knowledge of the fact that it was there in the fall. I think the fact that they had an investigation, everything worked out the way it should have. The only part where I can say, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have done that, is the fact that they immediately issued the statement Sunday night and made this a public situation. Now, I don't think NASCAR did that to get publicity. I think NASCAR did that to send a message to whoever they thought did this.
Yes.
That we are coming for you. But that's where we look silly. If they would have not issued that statement, yes, it might have come out. Somebody might have found out about it and the rumors might have started circulating and then they'd had to issue a statement. But at least then it wouldn't have looked like they were trying to put this out there for everybody. But don't get me wrong. I know without talking to them, from what I've heard, from what I know from working with NASCAR, that this was not a publicity stunt.
No, God, no.
This was an overreaction to something, rightfully so. And I think that if the same thing happened tomorrow, they'd do the same thing again.
Yep, and Steve Phelps has said as much.
Yeah.
That he would not change how he handled it. And Eric, you're 100% correct on everything you said. I want to second everything because, like you said, it's the right thing to do. And you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yep.
In this specific situation, because I think what people are celebrating, I'm going to air quotes this, they're celebrating right now that, ooh, look, NASCAR took a victory lap and look what happened.
Right.
They were wrong. And I've come on the side of, well, damn it, let's be a little bit embarrassed. Would you rather be a little bit embarrassed and know that you made the proper steps and the proper steps taken with sincerity?
Right.
Versus, you know, maybe a year or two ago, even a different NASCAR in a different world would have handled this so much differently. The leadership of NASCAR is ready for this. This shows me that they're ready for this fight. And yeah, they've got a little egg on their face because of the best case scenario, right?
Right.
This is the best case scenario that this was not a hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God it's not, and we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, like we shouldn't be upset about the fact that this was unfounded. We should be thrilled that this was unfounded.
Exactly.
We should be so happy that there's not somebody in the NASCAR garage because listen, nobody has access to this garage except for officials right now.
Exactly. And NASCAR doesn't have, you know, like they didn't sweep this under the rug.
Right.
They brought it.
If they would have swept this under the rug and it was a real thing, can you imagine if Bubba would have gotten hurt because somebody was attacking him on Sunday?
And NASCAR took this to the media. They brought it to the forefront themselves. They volunteered like, hey, this is what we're doing. And they were straight up. They did everything that they said on Sunday.
Yep.
Moving everything forward from the FBI investigation onward. They did what they said.
Yeah, they didn't screw around. There were 15 members of the FBI there investigating.
And let me tell you something else. It's not the media's fault for reporting it.
No.
Especially the way that they did, because they had information and they reported it. They didn't. Nobody in the media that I read, any credible piece of media that you can see, from Gluck to Pockris to whomever, none of them were pointing anybody out or speculating. There was no speculation. It was
I
just
will
reported.
say, chalk one up to Pockrass though, because he did ask about the rope.
That's what he does. That's what he does, and
So.
he's one of the guys who had a picture of it
Yep.
from last year, by the way.
Yep.
And then there's the contingent of people coming after Bubba Wallace.
Ridiculous.
Shame on everybody who is tweeting at him and giving him a hard time, and now he's on the media circuit trying to defend. And this is where NASCAR is falling a little bit short. Where are they right now with Bubba helping him out with some of this stuff? Because I feel like he's taking on a little bit of an unnecessary burden.
Yeah, I agree.
But shame on anybody who thinks that he had anything to do with this either, because he's the guy who spearheaded the let's get rid of the Confederate flag thing.
Right.
That's not what's going on here, man. This is just, I think if anything, Eric, NASCAR leadership is scared.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I read something this morning that somebody said NASCAR's scared. They started this thing,
and I don't blame them.
And they're scared. Yeah, damn right they're scared.
Yeah, this is a fight. This is not Eric, we have all of this stuff going on. We have planes flying over an empty racetrack. I mean, how stupid is that, right? But
how much money did you spend to fly over a track with 5,000 fans?
Exactly. What an idiot, by the way. But seriously, we don't have fans at the track. This is only the beginning of this fight.
Yeah.
And NASCAR, has a history. Have a history of not embracing racism per se over the recent years. I mean, there's the Wendell Scott thing, and I mean, that's a whole nother podcast or for somebody else maybe.
They have a history of doing what they need to do and nothing more.
Exactly. They don't encourage racism, but they have a history of not doing anything with it.
Right.
But they've made the choice now that we are not dealing with this anymore.
Yep.
I almost pulled a Marty Smith and swore on the podcast. So I think that we should be proud of NASCAR leadership for a lot of things here, and then we should be proud of the sport for coming together.
I think we need to be really proud of the drivers who orchestrated what they did on Monday morning.
Because this doesn't take away from that, right?
Right. How awesome was that moment, seeing Kyle Busch lead the rest of the drivers, pushing Bubba's car down pit road? I mean, that was...
And kudos to Jimmy and Kevin for coming up with that whole thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a more memorable moment in recent memory, and I can't. That's something that is so positive.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to and this is not my belief, Eric, but this is just something that I heard. I was listening to a national radio show today, and they were sincerely asking, when has NASCAR had a national moment like this in recent years? What have been the national moments for NASCAR that have been this big? So we start here. We have Bubba Wallace. They said Tony Stewart's incident and Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s death.
Yep.
All ugly things, right? Until you get to Bubba in that unified moment. And even though we have a little embarrassment to deal with, that's minor. That's small potatoes compared to what we saw on Monday with those drivers coming out with him. And that's showing of unity. I just thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it was absolutely awesome. No matter what the reasoning was for it, honestly, there's no different reasoning. The reasoning's not any different, despite
that's
the fact...
their brother, man.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Despite the fact that this turned out to be unfounded, all those drivers still stand with Bubba Wallace. All those team members still stand with Bubba Wallace. That shows that the support that he has in the garage area, that's why it's important for somebody like Bubba to be in our sport.
And you know what else, Eric? The next time somebody wants to pull some crap, because it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be something, but somebody's going to try to pull some crap. Let it be known that the sport has his back, right? They are literally and figuratively have his back. And I just love the imagery of that moving forward. Like, that's going to be something we'll remember forever.
And this isn't because Bubba Wallace is black. This is because this is what NASCAR is. It is a family.
It's good people.
As much as we want to see the rivalries, as much as we get mad at each other on the track, these guys are a family. They travel together week in and week out. They're not maybe together as much the last few weeks as they have been in the past, but it's a family. They all look out for each other. They all care for each other. And when somebody's down or appears to be down, they are going to support them. And there
especially if they're worth their salt as a person.
Right.
And, Eric, I thought back, and I actually did a social media post that had some sort of emotion to it. But I remembered when you and I interviewed him at MIS in the media center when he came in after his win. And I remember that you and I had this conversation about him, about how impressed we were as a person. Not because, and we talked about it, we're not impressed with him because he's a good person and he's a black man.
Right.
He is a good person.
Yep.
And that just shows you, like, we didn't see something in a fleeting moment there. We saw the genuine Bubba Wallace that day in 2017. And you can tell by the support he has that is the person that he is.
Yep. He's a good dude, man. I like Bubba. I want to see him succeed.
And how cool, before I know we're kind of going to be moving on here, but the ending of that race with the fans in the stands.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Awesome,
too.
dude.
Yep.
Really cool. They came down from Atlanta. That was their first NASCAR race. And Bubba came up, no mask, didn't care.
Yep.
He just said, hey, and at that time we didn't know what this whole thing was. And he said, I don't want whoever did this to not see me smile. And I thought that was super powerful.
Yep.
Who cares?
He's bringing fans to sport. You guys, if you want the sport to succeed, you need to be happy with what he's doing. He's bringing people in. So,
yeah, man. Yeah. And be welcoming when we get back to the track, please.
Yes.
Like, let's all do our part because we can.
Yep.
And we will.
NASCAR did a cool thing this weekend too, not quite related to this, but sort of, with the new fans coming in. They were answering questions on Twitter. People new to the sport. They tweeted out there, what do you want to know? What are the questions that you have? And they were answering questions for people. That was pretty neat.
That's
too.
awesome.
So,
yeah. Really cool.
Taking advantage of the fact that we're getting some new fans. So that's great.
Yeah, and I have a quick, this is kind of a social media shout out, but a quick buddy of mine, Derek Winter, he has a new Twitter account, No NASCAR, and he wanted to reach out and do his part to help new fans.
Nice.
And he's encouraging people to ask him questions.
Cool.
So I thought that was really cool, and I wanted to give him a quick shout because I love that.
Sweet. All right. I think we covered that.
Yeah, that was, this, I'm getting it's really hard to do these really deep subjects.
Yeah. Well, I quit quit looking at social media after last night.
You got
I'd had enough of it. Today I went back on a little bit, and there's more positivity flowing again. So I think everybody had a chance to think about it. I mean, look, we were all annoyed last night. We were all embarrassed. It's just, It
was the most conflicting thing I've ever... Ryan McGee said it on Twitter. I retweeted it. Relief and embarrassment all at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, when have you felt relief and embarrassment in the same? That is just strange. A strange feeling to be like, oh gosh, I'm embarrassed a little bit about my sport again.
Yeah, and I hope this doesn't discourage anybody from reporting something if they see it in the future, because we need to. This stuff's going to happen. You're going to look foolish sometimes. But it's the thing that you didn't report that you should have that becomes the issue. So when you see something, say something.
Yeah, and keep there's a lot of ugly things said on social media of late, and it's kudos to the people who are bringing it to the forefront and aren't shying away from it either.
Right.
We don't have to get into specifics on any of it. I mean, you can go out there and find it for yourself, but there's a lot of ugliness out there, but we need to continue to call that out when we can. I as much as I dislike social media sometimes, it's boy, it brings out the ugly in people, but you can really spin that into a positive if you see fit.
Yeah if you need to know why this was an issue, all you need to do is go look through the comments on Twitter over the last couple days. I could point you in the direction of one, but I'm not going to give him any airtime on this podcast.
Yeah, we don't need to anymore. Nope.
It's pretty sad, to be honest. So glad it was nothing. Glad we look foolish, because I'd rather look foolish and find out that somebody within NASCAR, within the teams.
Better to be foolish than to be supporting racism.
Yep.
That's
100%.
I guess is that an easy way to say it? I don't know.
I think that wraps it all up.
Good. Okay.
With that, I don't have any idea how to transition out of that, so I'm just going to go right on to the next news
Let's
item,
roll, baby.
which is that Eric Jones and Christopher Bell are currently in contract talks. A lot of this revolves around Eric Jones because he has a 1-year contract that ends this year with JGR. Of course, JGR I'm sure doesn't want him to go anywhere because there's still a lot of potential with Eric Jones. Toyota doesn't want either of these drivers to go anywhere, but Christopher Bell's in a situation because while he has a multi-year contract, Levine Family Racing basically says that they're walking a tightrope, and that's their line, not mine. Getting to the track each week right now with the COVID and all that stuff, that they are struggling. So trying to figure out what we're going to do with these guys to keep them in a Toyota, I guess, is the biggest thing.
It seems to have been going on for 2 years with these two guys,
yeah,
hasn't it? I mean, it's been, and poor Eric Jones, is this year-to-year stuff is not fair.
No,
I feel
it's
like
not.
for him.
And so we'll talk silly season. Let's add the thing that's at the end of our list too, that Tony Stewart mentioned that he'd like to sign Kyle Larson, but he doesn't have anything to announce yet.
Surprise.
Right, I know. Didn't we predict this one? But so you got a situation at Stewart Haas that, okay, now who's on the outside looking in there? You and I were talking before we started recording the podcast that maybe Boyer plans to go to the booth. He did a great job with Jeff Gordon during the iRacing stuff, so maybe that's in the works. But otherwise, if they want to keep Boyer around, then it's Eric Almirola. But is Eric Almirola going anywhere? You know, he's still got some potential too.
Well, and he's got a good sponsor with Smithfield.
Yeah, so I mean,
does Smithfield want to align with Kyle Larson?
Does NASCAR look at, increasing the team limit to 5? That would fix these two teams' issues.
It would be great if they did. You and I have often talked about that. We need to go back to that.
Yeah, they're getting around it anyway. I mean,
well, Levine Racing is just an offshoot of Joe Gibbs, and I wonder if some of this is a little bit of politicking for them.
Could be.
I doubt it, though. I feel like they've always been a pretty straight shot team. It's I hate it. I hate it for Eric Jones. I mean, I'll go back to that point, though.
Yeah.
I hate it for Eric Jones because he's so dang talented, and he's been on year-to-year deals basically ever since he got into the Cup Series.
There's some good couple good Ford and Chevy rides that are open right now, so that's why Toyota's nervous, because there are good openings on the other side of the aisle.
Can you imagine if Stewart Haas retooled with, you bring back Kevin Harvick as your guy, you've got Cole Custer, which is fine, but you retool with an Eric Jones and a Kyle Larson possibly. I mean, that's probably not going to happen.
No, but Eric Jones is going to be one of those guys that the next team he goes to, he's going to kill in.
Logano it. Yep.
It totally.
If he doesn't stick in that 20 car, because Joe Gibbs needs to look in the mirror on that one, because they screwed that up really bad, and don't do it again. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, I agree.
Christopher Bell's a great talent, but Eric Jones is really dang good, man, and he's younger. I don't know. Yeah,
it's quite the pickle.
It's definitely quite the pickle.
Texas going to allow fans for its July 19th Cup Series race. There will be no fans for the Xfinity or Truck Series races, however. Eddie Gossage said on Twitter, if anyone comes to those races and is reported sick, the rest of the weekend gets shut down, per the state. Can't take that risk.
I love Eddie Gossage.
Yeah, but this to me is like,
I know.
Let's let some fans in, but we're only going to do it on the last day because we know we're going to get shut down if we do anything different. Does that not tell you that you're doing the wrong thing?
I know.
I mean, I know it's Texas and that's what we do in Texas, but
it's like I said with the All-Star race coming up here. I said, the hell are we doing with 30,000 fans? What the hell are we doing?
I don't know. 30,000 fans in a place where the air doesn't circulate.
Eddie, I don't know. It seems unnecessary to me, but yeah, I mean,
what are we doing it for? Are we doing it? Do we need the extra money? I mean, are we doing it because we want to be the first track with a full set of stands? Like, I don't get what you're winning.
I don't know. Who would want to go?
Right. Well,
I mean, people want to go to NASCAR races, but I mean,
I will say, James, that, I'm almost to the point where I'm like, okay, and you could see them starting to relax a little bit on the broadcast and stuff too with the masks for the NASCAR stuff. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm 100% for the mask, especially if you're indoors. But when you're outdoors and you're not really close to people,
it's really hard.
It doesn't really bother me a whole lot.
Yeah.
If they're not wearing them. So, like, I don't know. I guess if you're going to have a big crowd, outside is a place to do it. Certainly Texas is better than Bristol.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and I'm with you 100%. Like if you're outside, that's fine. But yeah, I don't know if I want to be packed like sardines watching
no.
a
And
race.
they did say that the social distancing will still be in effect, which I don't know if you've seen any videos from local tracks, but I've seen one from a local track not too far from me that there was no social distancing going on there. But beside the point.
Well, Ace Speedway, that's the famous one. They cram that sucker in.
Yep.
So, and that's not near us. That's in another state.
Right. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know people are trying to move on, but look what's going on in Florida. It's a mess. And the NBA is about to come back in Florida.
Yep.
And
it's
like,
plan.
I don't like, guys.
Yep. Well, and speaking of that, we found out this transitions into the next news item.
Oh yeah, this is the next thing.
2 Stewart-Haas employees and 1 Penske employee have tested positive for COVID-19. We found that out before the race weekend.
Not track employees though; they
Correct.
are North Carolina based.
Correct.
But this is the thing that I've been kind of banging my fist on the desk, like, okay,
yep.
When are we gonna have some positive results? Like, there's got to be something.
Yep.
And finally, at least we have. Not that it's a good thing that we have. I don't want to phrase it that way, but I'm glad that we have the clarity from these teams that yes, we do have positive tests.
Yeah, we're not just sweeping it under the rug.
Yes, exactly. That's where I was getting at. I don't want to. Again, it kind of goes back to what happened in Talladega, but yes, let's make sure that we're at least being honest about these things. You know, I'm glad that these teams are reporting as they should be. And then if it does happen at the track, I mean, I was looking before the podcast tonight, Eric, the PGA Tour has had a whole slew of caddies and golfers test positive, and they're just going to keep on rolling. They're going to go on to the next tournament. So, you know, same thing could happen to NASCAR. We're built the same way. It's a traveling circus. So hopefully everybody's going to be good. It sounds like everybody's going to be fine from this one, but I'm very happy about the transparency.
It's just something that I just don't think is worth screwing with when you don't need to right now is the biggest thing.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're wearing masks at the track. Part of it is an image thing too. But it's better safe than sorry, you know?
Yeah.
And for those people that say they can't wear a mask, these guys are jumping over the pit wall in 100-degree weather. Because I'll tell you what, we're at tracks right now that we would not normally race at this time of year. Talladega, you don't race in July at Talladega by choice.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not comfortable wearing a black mask when you're doing that. And these guys are surviving just fine doing it. So you guys can wear your mask to Walmart. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. When I wear my mask into the grocery store and I'm in the parking lot, and it was, Eric, last week we were in the 90s here in Michigan, and I was in the parking lot putting my mask on. I was like, holy hell, this is terrible.
Yep.
And I was thinking about the NASCAR teams. Like, man, they have to do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wearing my mask into the store, and then once I get back in my truck, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm a big baby. I hate the mask, so I just don't go places that I need it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So if I do need to go those places, I wear the damn mask.
Yeah. No, like I run outside almost every day, and I don't wear a mask when I do it. But if I do see people coming, like I will cross the street to get away from other people, not for my sake.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm not wearing a mask, I'm trying to make sure that other people.
Over them.
Yeah. And I'm leaving that draft, that wake behind me too.
Right.
So I want to make sure.
Well, because you're going so fast.
Hey, I'm pretty fast. No, I'm not that fast.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Tommy Joe Martins both have removed the Mississippi state flag from their cars and their uniforms due to the Confederate flag symbolism that is part of the Mississippi state flag. James, I would like to hear your opinion on this one first.
Boy, I mean, did the right thing. Glad they did it. But that state flag is going to be changing within the next couple of months, I would venture, right?
Yeah, I think, yes, I agree. I think it's going to change. I think at this point, okay, maybe it's a little bit overkill. Now, they did it by choice. Nobody told them they had to remove it. They did it by choice.
Oh, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, but it's the state flag too. I mean,
yeah, but
it's still officially the state flag.
I know, but
so I'm a little more sympathetic to it. I think this might be overreacting a little bit, but yeah, the state flag needs to change. I mean, it 100% does.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I joked, off the podcast that if you really wanted to get by the Confederate flag thing, then just fly the Mississippi state flag at the track because is NASCAR going to tell you they can't fly the state flag? I mean, we're not racing in Mississippi, so.
Yeah, yeah. And the
don't come at me, guys. I'm totally against the Confederate flag. I think that it should be taken off of the state flag. I think, like James said, it will be. But at the same time, if they were to still run their state flag, I don't know if you guys realize it, but most of the drivers run their state flag next to their name on the driver's side door. I would be okay with them running that flag because it's their state flag.
Yeah, it's just the.
But I'm not against them for taking it off.
Yeah, it's just the optics of the stars and bars, right?
Yeah.
It's the.
Which technically isn't the stars and bars. James, would you like a history lesson?
I don't want to go down that road. not on the podcast.
It is not the stars and bars.
I know, but that's what
I know. Everybody refers to that now, but
I know. I just I'm trying to make a visual for the listeners out there.
No, we've talked about the Confederate flag enough.
Flag looks like.
Yeah. All right, let's stop talking about the Confederate flag. Then let's talk about Justin Haley, James.
I am so done
he's gonna race and win the All-Star. I mean, he's just gonna race the All-Star race. I mean, he's gonna drive around in the All-Star race.
He's gonna be a driver in the field in the All-Star race.
Am I right? The Spire Motorsports, because I had
Spire. Yep, the 77 that he won a race with and then didn't come back to, and then is racing for the team in a different number. It's a mess.
And you can vote for the paint scheme online right now on Twitter if you want to vote for that. James, did you see the paint schemes?
No, I'm not. I'm not well versed in Spire.
I just wanted to see if you saw it because it's got the number on the back of the door. Sponsor in front of the number.
Oh God.
It looks a little different. It's not terrible. It's not terrible.
Let's talk about the Confederate flag again. No, Justin Haley, your Xfinity winner at Talladega, by the way.
Yeah.
Good work by that colleague team.
I screwed up and saw who won that race before I watched that race too. I was so mad.
Dang, yeah.
Hate that.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than he's going to be a driver in the All-Star race.
Good for him. He gets to start. He's going to get some money. Good for him.
Yeah.
He won.
He
won the damn race. No matter how he did it, he won the race. He deserves to be in the All-Star race. He's an All-Star this year.
Hey, rain-shortened wins count.
Yeah, and nothing against Justin Haley. I mean, Haley's, like you said, he's an Xfinity winner.
He's a driver.
He's not a bad driver. He just isn't a crappy team.
He's just young. He's really young. Yeah. And that team is kind of making a mockery of the system, but kind of not at the same time. They're just taking advantage of what's available.
Yeah, it's no different than people that bend the rules.
Start.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy that won the race for them should probably start that race for that team. I mean, if you want to run it, then run it. You deserve it. You made anybody could have won the All-Star or the rain shortened race at Daytona.
Right.
And Justin Haley was the guy.
Don't worry, guys. I'm sure he didn't take the fan vote away.
No, we know who's winning that.
You're probably not going to have to worry about him winning the race, but he's in it, so good for him.
Yeah. We know who's winning the fan vote, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's Bubba's.
Yeah, I would hope. Well, maybe he'll win before that, James.
Maybe.
Maybe he'll win this weekend in Pocono.
Maybe. As long as he doesn't crash like he did a couple years ago.
Well, he doesn't have to go 500 miles this time.
Yeah. Well, he's got to go like 600 and
That is true. It is the same car, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of that, guess what, James?
What's up?
It's doubleheader weekend.
It is.
The first ever NASCAR doubleheader in the Cup Series I think it's the first ever, but if it's not the first ever, it's the first in a really long time.
I guess, if we had much higher expectations for it before COVID.
We were a lot more excited about this.
Yeah, but we're still excited about it. Either way.
It's a little less impressive to have two races in 1 week when we've done it like 4 times this year, but they're back-to-back, 2 days in a row. Lots of racing this weekend at Pocono. We have the Pocono Organics 325 on Saturday and the Pocono 350 on Sunday. We're going to get into our picks in a minute, but before we do that, Talladega picks. James picked Joey Logano as his pick for the race winner, and I saw the future and picked Ryan Blaney and got 2 points for the win.
The second time Eric has pulled the win. So you've got the 2-1 lead there too. We
were very close on the dark horse. Michael McDowell finished a little bit ahead of Brendan Gaughan, so James gets the point for Michael McDowell. I am up 16-13 after 13 races. We are still keeping it close.
Who would have thought that I would have picked Michael McDowell and gotten a point on this thing?
Right?
That's all I have to say. I should get 2 for that.
Hey, you should.
No, I'm just kidding.
Trying to think who it was. Okay, so I probably would have picked Bubba. And where did Bubba end up?
14th?
So would I have gotten the points if I had picked Bubba? Yeah, I
Yeah,
would've.
you would have. Yeah, you would have beat McDowell.
I should have went with Bubba like I was going to then. Ah, well. All right. So we get to make our pick for Pocono. So here's what we're going to do, James. We talked about this before the podcast, but we'll let everybody else know what we're doing. Rather than pick 2 times for 2 races that are basically the identical race, we're going to pick once. So we have 1 pick. We're going to score them separately. So,
And now I see why you did it.
because I pick first.
You picked first for 2 races in a row.
Did I?
Basically, that's what you're going to get to do. You get Pocono 2 first place
yeah,
picks.
you're right. I guess I kind of do.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You deserve it. You won the race with Ryan Blaney. I have no quarrel here. You're the points leader. You should have the advantage.
On that note, I get the first pick, and I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney again, James.
Oh, Jesus.
He's got to win one of the 2, right?
Yeah. So and he's got to win here with Wood Brothers, by the way.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the kind of a broader spectrum. I'm going to narrow it down here. So you've got Blaney.
Eric Jones has the best average finish here.
Yeah, of the last 10, it's Eric Jones. But I like to go to the last 4. That gives me a nice little look here. Well, if you're going to go with Blaney, and I've got 2 races to try to beat you, I'm going to take Kyle Busch. Last 4 races, he is the only driver with 4 top 10s. He's got 2 wins. He has an average finish of 3.5. He has not had the best of luck so far this year, but maybe with 2 races in a row, KB can turn it around.
Now, we both left the winningest driver at Pocono off the list, and that's Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, Hambone.
Denny Hamlin's wins came in the pre-repave, or a lot of them did anyway.
Yeah.
So he has not been as good since they repaved the track.
Some other drivers really good here recently is Harvick and Truex, and Byron has some nice stats here, but he's off the board. He is not considered a dark horse.
Yeah, where is Truex bad at right now? It's not much.
Not much. No,
there's a couple tracks, but not much.
Nah, he's not bad anywhere anymore. Nope.
Now he's in JGR.
Nowadays,
100% JGR equipment.
Yeah.
All right, James, you get dark horse. Who's your first dark horse, or who's your dark horse pick?
Who is the dark horse pick? Well, let me see. I don't think he qualifies. I was gonna say Almirola, but he doesn't qualify.
No.
Man, I have to go way down the list to find a dark horse. You know what? I will take. I'm gonna have to go with the power plant here. Give me Matt DiBenedetto.
Okay.
For if I gotta have 2 races, I'm gonna take Matt, and I'm gonna take that Penske power.
That's right, 2 races. Does that change my decision?
There's not. I mean, you can't really pick anybody. I'm looking through the list here. There's not a lot of guys who are really eligible according to our rules. I mean, you got Chris Buescher, but he won a rain shortened Pocono race.
Yeah, so I think Chris Buescher could still be a dark horse.
Stenhouse.
That's all right, James. I'm going to pick Ty Dillon. No real reason.
No real reason?
Just going with Ty Dillon.
Yep. You don't want Quinn Huff?
No. No, I'm good. I'm good with Quinn. No, Ty Dillon, he's respectable. He'll finish mid-pack and maybe get me a point over Matty D, who might have trouble or something. But
so it's going
to be hard to beat Matty D.
I was thinking about taking Tyler Reddick, but he's never run here before. But Pocono is friendly to rookies. It has been friendly to rookies in the past. Tyler Reddick would be good. I feel like.
How did Reddick do in the Xfinity Series here?
They don't run Xfinity at Pocono, do they?
Oh no, you're right. They don't. Just the Truck Series, and he hasn't run the Truck Series, has he?
No, I don't think he. Well, not that I recall, but I'm sure he does.
Interesting.
Chris Bell has not been here yet.
Interesting. Sure, Christopher Bell might have run in the Truck Series here.
Not in the. Yeah, I was looking at the Cup Series stats.
But
Chris Bell's. Chris Bell. Hold on.
He might not have though, because the Truck Series hasn't been going there for that long.
Oh, they just started going back not long ago.
Yeah. Might have been since he left the Truck
Series.
Series.
I'll find that out. I can get that information for you here. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll filibuster with absolutely nothing.
I mean, come on, you can handle this. He's run a couple full-time seasons in the Truck Series, so he should have run Pocono.
Unless they weren't racing in Pocono.
Yeah, here we go. 2016, he finished 10th.
Okay.
And in
10th's pretty bad for him in the Truck Series, though.
In 2017, he won. Racing for Kyle Busch Motorsports.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
I don't know if he's raced there or not. Oh, he's got to win. Okay.
The one thing
great.
to consider here is that this is a real big crapshoot because we're running, 100 miles less
than we normally would.
Than we normally do here. For years, Pocono was 500 miles. It's been 400 miles the last few.
And the 400 miles have been really much better.
Yeah.
And I think these races will be great.
We
really
might find the sweet spot for Pocono right here. I think 325 might be the sweet spot for Pocono.
Yeah, and then the 350. I mean, if 325 is a good show, then yeah, we get a little bonus 25 on the 350 on Sunday. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday Cup races. Woohoo!
Yeah, 25 miles at a 2.5 mile track isn't that much.
Not much. Yeah, yeah, just a couple.
So let's hope weather stays away because who knows what happens if it rains. But it will.
Please God, just get through a weekend without rain. Todd's not going to the track, right? Our good buddy, our
I don't
friend,
think he was.
Friend of the show.
I can't remember now.
I don't think he is, but yeah, that's a bonus. Sorry, Todd.
Yeah. So, fantasy. You got fantasy stats up?
Yeah. So, Talladega is a crapshoot. Nobody really scored that high. Ranger.
Yeah, I noticed the numbers were all really low, but I didn't check it after they'd finished the finishing order, so it might have changed a little bit.
Yep. Ranger wins. Actually, pretty close. 177. Justin 713 finishes second with 158. I was third with 152.
Yeah, you had a good one.
Jay Wint, Barron Speedway, Freight Train, Denny the Many, the KB Show in 8th, and Toyota Fan was 9th.
How many points did I have?
You 115.
115.
115. Sorry, yeah, I chuckled because I knew it was low.
It was bad.
Yeah. Eric and I continue to duke it out towards the back of the field in the overall standings. The top three right now: Freight Train, our buddy there. He is Ranger made some ground up on him, but still first place. Ranger second. Denny the Many is third. And then sandwiched in between me and Eric in the fifth, between fifth and seventh is Barron Speedway, our good buddy there too.
There you go.
So there you go. There's our overall standings, kind of.
All right. James, you got any shout outs today?
I got a couple actually.
Okay.
I watched a film this weekend, Ford versus Ferrari. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, not made for the racing enthusiast. I'll say that, but it's very good. If you like racing movies like we do, it's very good. Racing is very good in it. The only gripe I have one gripe, and it's the nerdiest, stupidest gripe you could have. They show a race at the 24 Hours of Daytona, and it's at Auto Club Speedway, and it has safer barriers.
I hate that.
And I was very much bothered by this. However, I had to stop my nerdness and remember that this was made for the masses, not for me.
Right. Most people don't have a clue.
Settle down, James. Settle down. The actual racing from the 24 Hour of Le Mans is very good. But yeah, just it's on HBO Max right now, or HBO Now, or whatever HBO thing you got. So
nice.
Yeah, Ford versus Ferrari, very good.
Cool.
Very, very good.
I will throw a little shout out there to Eli Tomac. James, you know who Eli Tomac is?
Oh, I know that name. Yeah.
Eli Tomac is the 2020 Monster Energy Supercross champion. Finally gets a championship after being like the most dominating rider the last several years, but just has always managed to throw it away at the end. Tomac got the championship on Sunday. Thanks to the rain delay, I was able to watch it live. And congrats to Supercross for being able to put together 7-race series in Rice Eccles Stadium in Utah and finish their season out, albeit not in front of fans, but finish their last 7 rounds, crowned a champion, and now they get to move on to their outdoor series. So
did they get an actual full season in?
They got a full season in every race.
So this is not an asterisk championship.
Nope.
This is a legit. He is the champ.
I would say this was tougher than a normal championship because so many of these races were run in the daytime in Utah. And they were hot and miserable. The track was rough and very solid, not your typical Supercross tracks. And of course at high elevation too, which Eli is from Denver, so he's used to high elevation. But
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they managed to get the whole thing in and did a good job of covering it. NBC did a good job of covering it. They managed to get some stuff on actual NBC proper. They had one race with some rain, and otherwise everything turned out really good for them. So congrats to Supercross for getting their season in when it looked like they weren't going to finish till fall, if at all.
Well, yeah, so they are technically the first sport to crown a champion in COVID.
Yeah,
right there.
Yes,
there you go.
Yep.
Wow.
So.
And they got no pub for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unless you're in the Supercross circle, there was really no publicity whatsoever.
I had a good conversation with a buddy of mine. This is a very quick tangent.
Yeah.
He was saying, how can you not let ESPN into the track for NASCAR?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, they only have a certain amount of space, and ESPN, of course, didn't renew the rights back in the day and put in a low bid, blah, 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 blah. And then we both thought about it, and we're like, well, yeah, that makes sense, because every sport is like that. They're not covered by no one entity covers every sport, not even ESPN.
Right.
ESPN's covering NASCAR right now, but NBC doesn't cover a lot of stuff, and they cover motocross and supercross. So,
right.
You give and take with some of these networks. I was actually I was like, oh yeah, just because they're ESPN, they don't have the the well-reached. They pick and choose, right? They do what they want.
Yeah, NASCAR won't let Marty Smith into the track, but they let both Jim Utter and Chris Knight in.
I was not going to take it down that direction, and I'm so glad
I'm not
did.
saying anything. I'm just saying.
You're not saying anything.
I'm not saying anything.
How good? This can be another shout out. How good was that Marty Smith on SportsCenter segment? By the way,
let me confess. I only saw it. I didn't hear it.
Okay, you didn't hear what he had to say.
I was scrolling through Twitter and saw him fired up, and
he was
I
fired up. He almost F-bombed.
I love Marty Smith.
He pulled it back in.
You and I have a love for Marty and McGee, but you are more the McGee side, and I'm more the Smith side.
Marty's. See, Did you read Marty's book? I've got it right here next to me.
No.
I can read it to you right now. I can read you some chapters. Never Settle. Marty Smith book.
You gonna read it to me?
I'll read page for page. I'm sure
we'll do a live reading on the podcast next week.
Yeah.
Full book all the way through. 100%.
Full book all the way through.
Yeah.
He's got some good stories in there.
You're gonna have to get the audiobook for it.
It's good. Yeah, he read it too.
Did he?
That's good.
Oh, maybe I should do that then.
Yeah.
When I go back to work and I have to drive an hour and 10 minutes to work, I'll get the Marty Smith book.
Having Marty covering NASCAR has been just such a great throwback for me.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic to watch. So
yeah, I got into Marty and McGee right when Marty and McGee were ending, and
the podcast was ending, which I was on the podcast, by the way. That's a nice little nugget. My voice wasn't on the podcast, but I tweeted in and got named.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's that.
Yeah.
And then they defunded the podcast. Is that not the right word? I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that way.
Yeah. With that, James, since you're firing everybody up, where can they find you on social media to tweet at you?
At James Cush on Twitter or Instagram now, apparently, because I'm doing stuff there, apparently.
There you go. You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast on there. We have the show notes up. You can find links to all the articles we discussed, all that stuff, past articles, past coverage of races, past photos. Notice I'm saying past because I don't think I'm going to be allowed at the track this year, so there probably won't be any future stuff this year, but past is all up there, so check that out. A lot of work went into that. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud. And if you want to become a part of the show and help us out, you can become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. Anything else before we get out of here, James?
No, I think we should get out of here before I get us in trouble.
Yeah, probably. It's one of us will do it eventually. It's just a matter of time. 159 episodes so far. Hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. We're getting too comfortable.
We are.
With that, Pocono Raceway this weekend, we got all kinds of racing. We got Xfinity Series, we got Truck Series. I think the ARCA Series is racing. We got 2 Cup Series races. If you can't find racing this weekend, there's something wrong with you. Just, click on the TV. It should be on pretty much 24/7. We'll be back next week to talk about Pocono and get back into it. So until then, everybody, let's go racing.